In a land where the desert erases every footprint, one dynasty refused to disappear. From betrayal and bloodshed to unimaginable wealth and global power, this is the story the world was never meant to see. Before we begin, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Zimo Voice, because the truth behind Dubai's rise is far more dramatic than the myths. The desert looks empty, silent, forgotten, but in its dunes hides a memory of every footstep, every betrayal, every battle that shaped the Gulf. The winds do not erase history. They guard it, and buried inside these shifting sands is a story the world admires, yet few truly understand. A story of a dynasty that rose from nothing, a city built from dust, and a family whose ambition transformed a barren coastline into a global empire. This is the untold story of the House of Maktoum and the creation of modern Dubai. The year was 1833. Inside the Liwa Oasis, beneath palm trees swaying in the hot wind, the Bani Yash tribe gathered for a wedding celebration. Torches glowed, drums echoed, but beneath the music, tension simmered like desert heat. Old alliances were cracking. Powerful families suspected betrayal. The tribe was on the edge of breaking. And then, without warning, steel flashed. Screams tore through the night. Men fell where they stood. Fires burned unattended as shadows ran across the sand. When dawn broke, families were destroyed. Brothers were enemies. The tribe was splitting apart. Among the survivors stood two young leaders, Abeid bin Said and Maktoum bin Beauty. They looked at the devastation and understood one truth. Staying meant extinction. Leaving meant survival. And so, under the fading moon, they gathered nearly 800 followers, wounded, frightened, but determined, and marched north through the desert. They walked into uncertainty. They walked into danger. They walked into destiny. Weeks later, the group reached a quiet inlet, a natural creek cutting into the dry land. It was home only to fishermen and scattered huts made of palm fronds. Salt filled the air. Boats sat quietly in shallow waters. Life moved slowly. To others, this place was insignificant. To Maktoum bin Beauty, it was a miracle. Here, the sea protected them. Here, the British warships rarely approached. Here, trade could grow. This, he said, will be our new beginning. They built shelters, wells, markets, and slowly a new settlement emerged. The world would later call it Dubai. No one knew this small coastal village would one day change the world, but the desert knew. The British Empire, armed with cannons, steamships, and ruthless ambition, soon sailed into Gulf waters. To them, Dubai was simply a piece on a larger chessboard, a strategic point, a port, a future colony if needed. But Maktoum bin Beauty understood something crucial. You do not survive by fighting giants. You survive by being too useful to crush. So Dubai traded, negotiated, built relationships instead of enemies. The British got safe ports. Merchants got protection. Dubai got peace. It was here that Dubai's secret weapon was born. Diplomacy over war, deals over conflict, business over blood. A philosophy that would build the modern city. By the late 19th century, Dubai was still tiny, barely a dot on the map, but a visionary ruler rose. Sheikh Maktoum bin Hasher al Maktoum. He saw that Dubai's future depended on one thing, trade, but merchants avoided Dubai. The creek was narrow, the economy was small, and larger ports dominated the region. Then came a moment of brilliance. In 1894, Sheikh Maktoum abolished all customs taxes. No fees, no tariffs, no restrictions. A move so bold, the Gulf's rulers mocked it. But Maktoum smiled. He knew something they didn't. If you make your city the easiest place to do business, the world will eventually come to your door. And it did. Indian traders arrived. Persian merchants relocated. Boats filled the creek. Dubai had reinvented itself, and it was just getting started. For decades, Dubai thrived on its treasure, pearls. Men dove into the sea for hours, lungs burning, bodies aching, risking death for the shimmering gems buried in oysters. Pearls were Dubai's diamonds. Pearls fed families. Pearls built homes. Pearls made Dubai rich. But far away, in Japan, an inventor named Kokichi Mikamoto discovered how to make cultured pearls, perfect pearls at low cost. The Gulf's pearl industry collapsed almost overnight. Boats returned empty. Divers were starving. Trade fell apart. Dubai went from prosperity back to survival. And then something darker happened. The merchants, powerful families, blamed the ruling dynasty. They demanded reforms, power, and influence. When negotiations failed, tensions erupted. Shots were fired at a wedding. Clan leaders fell. Bodies were carried into the night. Dubai learned a lesson that would define its politics forever. To hold power, you must be willing to defend it. In 1958, Dubai witnessed a rise of a ruler who would change everything. Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed Al Maktoum. Quiet, calculated, visionary. He inherited a city with no real wealth, a silted creek, collapsing industries, limited resources, a growing population. Most leaders would have panicked. Rashid planned. One evening, he stood near the creek and watched a large cargo boat struggling through shallow waters. Trade was choking. If the creek closed, Dubai was finished. So Rashid took a gamble that shocked everyone. He borrowed money, a massive risk. He hired foreign engineers, and he ordered the creek dredged. Day and night, machines tore through mud. People doubted him. Merchants resisted him. Advisors warned him. Rashid simply said, "If the creek dies, Dubai dies." 2 years later, the first large ship entered the newly dredged channel. Merchants lined the banks cheering. Dubai was reborn, again. But a far bigger transformation was coming, one that would rewrite destiny. Dubai searched desperately for oil for decades. Every drilling site failed. Every expedition disappointed. Other emirates struck gold. Dubai struck sand. People mocked the city. Some even predicted its extinction. Then, in 1966, everything changed in a single night. At the offshore Fateh field, the earth rumbled. Waves rose, and oil burst through the surface. Black, hot, endless. Dubai finally had its treasure. But Sheikh Rashid understood something deeper. Oil is a gas. It comes. It stays for a while. Then it leaves. So instead of relying on it, he used oil money to build the real future. Ports, roads, airports, bridges, power plants, industries, housing, schools. Dubai was planning something bolder than wealth. It was planning permanence. Sheikh Rashid had 4 sons, Maktoum, Mohammed, Hamdan, and Ahmed. Together, they became the architects of modern Dubai. Maktoum, the quiet leader, wise, patient, and calm. The ruler of Dubai after his father's death. He expanded trade and stabilized the economy. Mohammed, the visionary, driven, ambitious, relentless. He dreamed impossible dreams and then built them. Burj Al Arab, Palm Islands, Dubai Internet City, Dubai Marina, Burj Khalifa. His motto, Dubai will never settle for anything less than first place. Hamdan, the financial brain, the man who handled markets, investments, and the global economy. Ahmed, the aviation mastermind, the genius behind the rise of Emirates Airline, now one of the world's greatest airlines. Together, the brothers formed the most effective leadership machine in the Middle East. But outside their palace walls, a silent race had begun, a race to modernize, a race to outshine others, a race to build a future faster than time itself. And every victory brought new enemies and new dangers. By the 2000s, Dubai was no longer a city. It was a global phenomenon. Skyscrapers grew like iron forests. Islands rose from the sea. Luxury became identity. Dreams became concrete. The world began calling Dubai the city that doesn't wait for the future. It builds the future. But beneath the shine, Dubai's ambition carried enormous risks. Massive debt, extreme construction pace, global economic shocks, regional geopolitical tension. Many said Dubai was expanding too fast, that it would collapse under its own weight. But Mohammed bin Rashid believed something else. If you do not dare the impossible, you will never achieve the extraordinary. And then came the global financial crisis. Investors panicked. Projects stopped. Dubai struggled. But the dynasty did not break. With help from Abu Dhabi and with Dubai's own iron will, the city emerged stronger. Dubai had been wounded, but wounds become wisdom. Today, the House of Maktoum controls one of the most ambitious, influential cities on Earth. But behind the skyscrapers are stories the world rarely sees. Internal rivalries, political tensions, global pressures, the struggle to stay relevant, the burden of impossible expectations, the secret negotiations shaping the region, the race against time and climate, the challenge of preserving power in a world that changes every second. Dubai's success is not an accident. It is a masterpiece of vision, risk, sacrifice, and leadership. But every dynasty faces a final question. How long can a miracle last before the world demands another one? The House of Maktoum built a city out of nothing, turned sand into steel, turned a creek into a world port, turned dreams into architecture, turned vision into destiny. But history is watching. Rivals are growing. And the future is arriving faster than ever. Only one question remains. Will the dynasty that built Dubai also be the dynasty that protects it? In the turbulent century ahead, only time and the desert that remembers everything will tell